What should we make for the New Year's feast? It's that time of year again. My name is Sherry, a 31-year-old working professional. Many of my female colleagues have left the company for marriage or childbirth, leaving just one single woman and one married woman like myself. New young employees keep coming in, and the three of us joke that we are already the senior ladies at our age. I have made it to a supervisor role, but climbing any higher seems challenging. Still, I'm content with my current situation, working for a stable company, earning a decent salary, and having a good time with my colleagues. My husband Kevin is 2 years younger than me but is climbing the corporate ladder smoothly and is well regarded by his bosses. Both of us have full-time jobs, and since we don't have kids yet, we're living a fairly comfortable life. That said, we're usually frugal, except for special occasions like vacations or birthdays. Neither of us are into brand name stuff, and we don't have many material desires. Preparing for having a child and enjoying life together if you don't have children, I vaguely think like that and save money. As soon as Halloween ended and the city switched to Christmas decorations, I started thinking about the new year. Every year, Kevin and I prepare a New Year's feast and drinks to bring to my in-laws. For some reason, that's become the norm. The first New Year's after getting married, my mother-in-law asked me to pick up a ham she had ordered. Turns out she hadn't paid for it yet. I gave her the ham, but she didn't mention the money. I figured she would settle up later, but that never happened. When my husband casually asked her about it, she said she was busy and would deal with it later. Then, when my husband wasn't around, she said, "You can at least pay for the ham, right? I mean, we're the ones preparing for New Year's here." I wouldn't have minded paying, but the way she said it without even a thank you was annoying. We had already bought drinks and snacks as she had asked, and even brought New Year's gift. It's an hour away by car, so I can't stay overnight, so I wonder what preparations are needed. If she had said she was making a homemade feast, I would have been impressed, but she had just bought stuff from the store and there were no New Year's decorations. I convinced myself that hosting is hard work and let it go. The next year, she asked us to bring not just drinks and snacks, but also the New Year's feast. We complied, thinking it's only a few times a year we visit. My husband's parents, us, and his sister and her husband were all there. They ate so much, it was no wonder they were that size. The feast was gone in no time, and I barely got any.
Next time, bring more. We are here for 3 days. This isn't enough. Oh, this seems a bit scant, don't you think? Make sure to bring more next time. Yeah.
When I give a non-committal nod, overwhelmed by their energy, my husband gives me an apologetic look. You see, my sister-in-law and her husband never bring any gifts when they visit. Not even for New Year's. They guzzle down drinks like water. Never bring even a can of beer and don't give anything to either our parents or us. On the other hand, I always prepare New Year's gifts for my in-laws and my sister-in-law's family. According to my husband, his mom has always doted on my sister-in-law. She would take her everywhere, buy her anything she wanted, totally spoiled her. Maybe that's why they think they don't have to bring anything. I'm also surprised that my brother-in-law could act so nonchalant about it. They relax without bringing any gift, indulge in the food and drinks we have prepared, and don't even offer to help clean up. I couldn't even imagine being so inconsiderate, and my husband would definitely offer to help if he were at my parents' house. "My dear, just relax and sit," my mom would say. But I appreciate my husband's willingness when he asks, "Is there anything I can do?" Last New Year's, we had some crabs sent from relatives in Alaska. Since there was too much for just us, we took it to my in-laws and it was a hit.
You are really doing it, sis. This is how you do crab?
My sister-in-law was ecstatic. I knew they would probably eat most of it, so I brought the crab in the shell. Peeling crab shells is something I'm good at. My relatives used to send them to my parents. As we sat at the dinner table, I quickly peeled the crab for my husband and me. Not being accustomed to it, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's family struggled to keep up. Eventually, my mother-in-law told my father-in-law to hurry up and peel, and my sister-in-law reached for our plate.
"Sis, you're so good at this. Can you put some on my plate next?"
And so, without even objecting, I became the designated crab peeler for my sister-in-law and her husband. Even when my husband said, "You're not kids, do it yourself," they didn't care. What's worse, not a single thank you was heard from them. Then, as if they really liked it, they even said,
"Looking forward to more crab next year."
But it seems this season's catch wasn't good, according to my mom. For this year's New Year feast, I was thinking of this. What do you think? I showed my husband a catalog. A restaurant in Minnesota collaborated with a department store to sell New Year's meals for the first time. "Thanks for always doing this, but my parents won't appreciate it. Let's go for something cheaper. This looks pretty expensive." I do agree, but I also don't want to bring something that's just abundant but not tasty. You never know what snide remarks you'll get, and I want my quiet father-in-law and kind husband to enjoy something good. I'm fed up with my rude mother-in-law and sister-in-law, but it's New Year's after all. If it leads to a good time, then that's all the better. That thought was still in my mind. Plus, I have some good news this time, which I explained to Kevin. The Minnesota restaurant that's making this New Year's feast, it's where my friend Mary got married. You remember her from the wedding.
Oh, Sherry's best friend from high school. That's right, she came all the way from Minnesota.
Yeah, I would love to visit her restaurant someday, so I've been wooed by this department store for 2 years to supply them with New Year's dishes. Turns out they are a bit anxious, so they're giving a 30% discount to family.
Oh, really? So we're included in that deal?
Yes. She said it's a special offer. Plus, it's not just about the discount, they're also looking for feedback, so we'll fill out a survey afterwards.
Got it. Well, let's take advantage of that for this new year.
And then it was New Year's Day. The New Year's feast, drinks and snacks were packed and ready to go. The takeout boxes for the New Year's feast were nearly twice the usual size. When Mary heard about our situation, she said they offer extra large boxes. The whole thing weighed almost 13 pounds. Even loading it in the car required some care. Last year, we got stuck in a traffic jam, so we decided to leave early. The roads were empty, so we arrived sooner than usual. As we rang the doorbell, my father-in-law came out to greet us. We said our New Year's greetings and went inside, but my mother-in-law was nowhere to be found. My father-in-law said apologetically,
She might still be sleeping. I did call her, but she didn't come down.
"Is she feeling unwell?"
No, that's not it.
It wasn't the crack of dawn or anything, but here we were, ready to celebrate New Year's. And she's still sleeping after telling us to prepare all this? I couldn't help but be annoyed. It's more frustrating than frustrating. We exchanged glances and sighed, deciding that complaining wouldn't help. I took over making the coffee from my father-in-law. I knew where everything was because my mother-in-law always asked me to do it. My sister-in-law probably had no idea. My father-in-law was different from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, much calmer. Talking to him was comforting. My kind and soothing husband must take after him. They looked alike when they smiled too. As we enjoyed tea with my husband and father-in-law, I felt at ease for the first time at my in-laws. That's it. I decided to let my father-in-law, who rarely eats properly, enjoy the New Year's feast. I began to unpack the takeout boxes. My husband seemed to catch on and brought plates.
This year's spread looks luxurious. Sherry, I'm sorry. You're always the one doing all the work.
Don't worry about it, father-in-law. This is the New Year's feast from a restaurant in Minnesota.
Wow, that's exciting. With all this food, I'll have to give you a proper thank you this year.
Huh? Both my husband and I blinked, not understanding. Uh-huh? My father-in-law looked back at us, equally puzzled. About 10 minutes later,
Oh, Kevin, you're already here?
we heard heavy footsteps on the stairs and my mother-in-law appeared. She looked even larger than when we had seen her last summer. We were in the middle of New Year's greetings when we heard a car pull up. Seems like my sister-in-law and her family had arrived.
Mom, we're here.
My stepsister burst through the front door with enthusiasm.
Happy New Year!
Even though I greet her, she ignores the New Year's pleasantries and says,
Hey, you bought it this year too, right?
She looks at me with sparkling eyes. I bite my tongue, wanted to say a lot and turn my attention to the New Year's feast. This year, I ordered some special New Year's dishes like Willy Bird turkey from Minnesota. As soon as I say that, both my mother-in-law and stepsister let out a disappointed, "What?"
No crab, it's New Year's, so of course there should be traditional New Year's dishes. What about crab or oysters?
I'm stunned by her words. I have gone to great lengths to prepare this and not even a thank you. I have chosen quality dishes for the New Year's feast. Plus, I have even upsized everything because you all eat so much. My patience is wearing thin, recalling my earlier conversation with my father-in-law. Before I can retort, my sister-in-law plops down and starts eating from the plate I had set aside for my father-in-law, saying,
Well, I'll give it a taste test for now.
Her husband sits next to her. Is the concept of manners foreign to these people?
Let's dig in. It looks delicious.
My mother-in-law follows suit.
Ah, this roast turkey is yummy. The lobster is huge too. Not bad at all.
They devour the food at an incredible pace.
Dad, Sherry, let's eat too.
My husband suggests, so I decide to calm down for now. My father-in-law hasn't started eating yet, and I want him to enjoy the food before it's gone. I also want to share our impressions with our close friend Mary. As I reach for the roast turkey, my stepsister snatches it away. Hey, I've told her countless times not to take other people's things, but she never learns. Well, I don't think so.
Are you hungry too, sister-in-law? But I'm definitely not sharing this turkey. You broke your promise to bring crabs, so it's only fair.
My mother-in-law just laughs along. Snap! Something inside me just broke. Really? Is that so? Enough. I'm not feeding these people anymore. Just then, a moment before I could move, my husband said in a rare, intimidating voice, "Enough is enough." Startled by his tone, my sister-in-law hesitated for a moment. "Let's go, Sherry." He began to pack up the takeout boxes. He started putting the food, which had been laid out on large plates for easy access, back into its original containers. I followed suit silently.
Well, what are you doing? What's going on with you two?
My sister-in-law and mother-in-law started to panic, but it was too late. While I was closing the lid of the takeout boxes and putting them in a bag, my husband began to gather the drinks and snacks he had brought. We hadn't planned this, but our teamwork was spot on. All that was left was to load the car. I turned around and said with a smile, "Well, we are going back to our parents' house. We won't be coming here for the holidays or the New Year anymore."
What?
My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were stunned. "That's how it is. Dad, I'll be in touch." My father-in-law nodded silently. As we were about to leave with our stuff,
Wait, why are you taking everything? Yeah, what are you thinking? You can leave if you want, but leave the food.
my mother-in-law and sister-in-law persisted.
Sherry, is this how you treat your husband's family? Kevin is such a kind person. He would never do something like this. What have you been telling him?
They were so hypocritical. If that's how it's going to be, I will set the record straight in front of them. I looked squarely at my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law, as I mentioned earlier, the New Year's feast this year was ordered from a restaurant in Minnesota.
So what?
Don't you care about the price?
Why should I? You guys bought it, so it's none of my business.
Then where did the money that my father-in-law provided go?
What?
My mother-in-law covered her mouth as if she had just realized something. Every year, it seems my father-in-law has been providing money for the meals we bring, but we have never accepted it. Where did that money go? My mother-in-law must have thought she would never get caught since she had been successfully stealing the money every year. She turned pale.
What are you talking about?
Are you still going to pretend you don't know? You have no idea how shocked we were when we heard it from my father-in-law. My father-in-law was just as shocked. He only found out that we hadn't received a single cent when he saw the puzzled look on our faces. He had never intervened when his wife and daughter treated us poorly because he thought he was covering the costs. Even though we brought the food, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law ate it with such arrogance. My father-in-law didn't say a word because he thought he was the one paying for it. What's going on? I've been giving you 2 extra money every year, including for transportation, haven't I? My usually mild-mannered father-in-law raised his voice.
Well, you see...
My mother-in-law was at a loss for words, her eyes darting around. Do you have any idea how much effort it takes to pick and bring the food each time? You were asleep just a moment ago, weren't you?
Well, that's...
Yet every New Year's, we try to make everyone happy. It's not just about the money. What really hurts is that you can't even say thank you. My mother-in-law mumbled, and my sister-in-law looked pale behind her. I had a hunch about her. You knew about the money Dad prepared, didn't you? In fact, you have been using it for yourself. I hit the nail on the head. Given how much my mother-in-law dotes on her, it's entirely possible. What did you say?
No, it's not me, it's Mom.
My sister-in-law was flustered under my father-in-law's glare. We had no more business here. Let's go, Sherry. Okay, goodbye. We loaded our stuff into the car and drove off without looking back.
Wait, what are we going to do for New Year's? We can share some roast turkey with you.
I thought I heard that from behind, but I didn't look back. Sherry at this point, she's so clueless. My husband's timing was perfect and I burst out laughing after that. We had a great time at my parents' house for New Year's. We all enjoyed a feast from the restaurant where my best friend Mary works. My mom even gave her thoughts on each dish, so I took detailed notes. When I compiled it all, it turned into something like a report. We sent that along with a survey we received and later got an unexpected gift. Mary's family was delighted with our detailed comments and found our differing tastes interesting. They even sent us an invitation to their famous restaurant in Minnesota. It was nice to be invited, but even nicer to see how much Mary is loved. It warmed my heart to know my best friend is happy in her new home. As for my husband Kevin's family, my mother-in-law had indeed been using the money from my father-in-law for herself. She told him she had given it to us, and she and my sister-in-law had been enjoying lavish lunches at fancy hotels. Most of it seemed to be spent on extravagant meals, and get this, more of my mother-in-law's financial misdeeds came to light, and that gentle father-in-law of mine was furious. She had underestimated him, thinking he wouldn't make a big deal out of it. Now she's facing divorce. I was a bit shocked to hear this, that calm and kind father-in-law of mine. But maybe it's precisely because he's like that he couldn't forgive not giving money to his son and daughter-in-law. Courtesy matters even among family, and saying thank you and sorry is basic. Neither was present in my mother-in-law or sister-in-law. If we had been greeted with a smile and a thank you every year, and if we all could have enjoyed the meal together, the money wouldn't have mattered. My sister-in-law and her husband, despite their low income, had been living beyond their means and relying on my father-in-law for support. Now he's declared he won't give them another cent. My husband said while reporting all this,
Hey, I still want to have a father-son relationship with Dad going forward. Is that okay with you, Sherry?
"Absolutely," I answered without hesitation. It's too bad we couldn't share our New Year's feast with him. Oh, since we got that invitation, how about we invite him when we go to the restaurant?
Great idea. He would love that. Dad's a big ice hockey fan, so he would have plenty to see in Minnesota. Believe it or not, watching sports is a hobby of his.
Really? My dad loves ice hockey too. Our conversation kept flowing. Maybe our fathers would hit it off like this too. Why not invite my parents and take a trip to Minnesota with everyone? The thought made me feel happy.